Rebel salute, rebel salute. Sorry for that glitch. Sorry for that technical difficulties. I'm back again. So if you're wondering what happened, I was just my sound was not working. So I am back again, so we can have this lovely discussion. As you can see, the topic today is Raila agrees with the NADCO report, and we shall break down Raila's speech, and I will explain to you why I say Raila agrees with the NADCO report. I know some of you had his speech and are saying, no, he did not agree. He actually opposed what Kenya Kwanza was proposing. But no. I will tell you why he agrees, and he wants this. And he even, it was almost, it wasn't explicit, but the giveaway was when he mentioned that in order for this to be realized, it has to go through a referendum to avoid people going to court. Some cheeky people to go into. That's his words. That's what he said. But I will tell you why this thing is still going to courts. Go check out my videos. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go to Kenya Revolutionary, and you will see why I say this thing will not pass, even if it goes to the parliament, and if they want to bring it for a referendum, it will be challenged in court, and it shall not get to that point, okay? But anyway, let's get started, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades. If you want to get in the studio, I will post the link right now. Let me just go ahead and post it. So for those of you who want to get in, click on the link right there. Okay, let me just put the link there. So if you want to join me and say something you want to say, feel free. Here we do not come on, we do not hide. We are not, I'm not one of those people who make videos and cannot defend what they say. I will defend my position, and you can come up and tell us about your position, okay? As long as we keep it respectful, we can always have a dialogue, a discussion, right? All right. So there it is. If you want let me see. I'm trying to see if I'm trying to see my page and see if my voice is. Somebody told me my sound was not working, so I had to go out and log out and rearrange and see things if they are actually working. All right, let me see. Let me just confirm that my stuff is working, okay? Okay, it is working. Great. Thank you very much. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, I first mentioned in my previous videos, I told you guys that in order for this raft of proposals that these two political party coalitions, for it to be realized, they have to not only go to the parliament, but bring it to a referendum. But even so, even if they bring it to a referendum, this thing will be shut down because, as I mentioned in my previous video, go check it out on Kenya Revolutionary on YouTube. It will be shut down for this simple reason. This is not a people's initiative. And I will play Raila's speech. It's a 15-minute speech. So it's kind of lengthy, but I'll be breaking it down. I will stop him and explain what he's trying to say, because he's trying to kind of circumvent around his decision. He kind of highlights, like I said, Raila is a very prudent, shrewd politician. When the report came out, of course, he knew what was in the report, okay? He went out there and told us that I've received the report, but I haven't actually read it. But of course, the same day, actually, that the report came out, Ruto wholeheartedly embraced the report and said, hey, he agrees with everything that's in there, okay? These guys know minute by minute what they discuss. They get to be briefed by those guys, their emissaries that were sitting at Bomas having these discussions, okay? So Kalonzo obviously and his team was briefing Raila daily, if it minute by minute, what they were discussing at the Bomas draft. So for Raila to come out and say that he hadn't read the report or did not know what was in it was it was him being economical with the truth. Now, the reason why he came out and said that is because he wanted to get a reaction from his supporters, okay? He wanted to see if his supporters will be outraged by this report before he says anything. That's why it took him 2 days before he came out and said anything, okay? So he probably went up in the internet. Very good coffee. And listened to the reaction of majority of Kenyans, how they reacted to this NADCO report. And the number one complaint was that there was no discussion on the cost of living. That's number one. Number two, there was no mention of any compensation for the families that were lost during the Maandamano, okay? And number three, there was lamentation. People were complaining that of these positions that were being created, whether it's the official opposition, whatever, and the deputies that were. All I'm saying is this: people were complaining about the positions that these guys came up to, in agreement with. Okay, and he rightfully mentioned that in order for these positions to be created, that will mean they have to change the constitution for it to be legal. And in order to do that, we have to have a referendum, a plebiscite. Okay. But again, as I mentioned, I had to say, sound redundant, like a broken record. This will still end up in court because it is not a people-initiated proposal. Okay. This is a bunch of people, Raila and Ruto, who had a disagreement, and they, marshaled a team of 4 or 5 or whatever the case was, to meet somewhere in Bomas, getting taxpayers' money to discuss what will be the best for this two-party coalition. Two-party coalition does not represent Kenya. We, the people of Kenya, are being represented by our representative at the legislative arm of government, not by those 4 clowns at Bomas Center, whatever the case is. Okay, Kamalonzo is not an elected official. Okay, yes, there were some who are elected, like Wandanyi and whatever, what's his name, whatever. There were some senators and MPs who are part of that talks. But all in all, if it was a people-initiated proposal talks, the talks should have been, I say it again, it should have been discussed at the parliament, debated thoroughly, and we should have had a public participation, as it is enshrined in Article 118 of the Constitution, which requires that if there's any issue that is to be made law, it should be discussed at the parliament, and we should have public participation. Wananchi should have a say on these issues that these guys were discussing, not Raila picking 2 people here and Ruto picking 2 people here, and they meet somewhere in Bomas and come up with a proposal which they want to be voted on and passed to be made law, while we, the Wananchi, do not have say in this. We should participate and tell our representative who represent us, who we donated this power to go and advance our interest at the legislative body. Okay, so if you are happy with this, if the people were happy with this idea of having an official office of the opposition, then we will have done this. Okay, I see Brother Benson here. Let me add my friend, a very good friend of the show. He's joining me. How are you doing, Brother Benson?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Nice to see you.
You too.
Yes. What's going on? What's in your mind today?
Nothing much. I see you are discussing about the National Dialogue Report. That is a thorn in the flesh for especially Kenyans, because I don't think the report really captured the aspirations of many Kenyans. And that's what I stand with. I don't want to kind of look at what kind of party affiliation gain, but I'm looking at what benefit did fellow Kenyans have, like the majority of Kenyans, because like I would start by saying when you look at during that meeting, there are so many proposals that the Kenyans of goodwill actually went and gave their views. There were so many organizations that went over there, but to my surprise, none of those suggestions or the views that were given by Kenyans are not captured. So that's what I say. Like now, what was its main intention?
Right.
You know, that is the one question that I was asking. Another question also that I was asking too. I'm just trying as a Kenyan citizen who is trying to look at a country whereby everybody should be inclusive. Why is it that when they're saying they did not agree on the cost of living, and so it means the remaining other issues they agreed upon, yeah.
Yes.
So it means when it comes to things that affect the mwananchi of Kenya wa kawaida, they usually not agree. But things that really benefit the leadership of the political class, it's quite very easy for them to agree. Because why could they not even question, like they say we did not agree on official opposition office or with their deputies, yeah? That is one. They could say we are not agreeing with the prime cabinet post. That is one. If that one could have been on the report, then I could have questioned myself. Okay, there's some leaders in here who are actually with the common Kenyans, but that one was not there. So that is my view.
Yes. What do you think about? Because I just 15 minutes before I logged in, I listened to a 15-minute speech. It was more, 15 minutes by Raila Odinga. Did you get a chance to listen to what he had to say
No,
about?
I just came home. I've not listened to it. But anyway, I'll listen to it. I cannot give a comment on it until I listen and maybe internalize and understand it best. But all in all, brother, all in all, from my view as a Kenyan citizen,
Right.
I think there's something that Gunjiri Wambogo, the former Nyeri town MP, said. Yeah. If you listen to he made some comments, and I tend to agree with him at some point. Like you look at where we've been or where we are as a country. Like we've always been a country of, after every election, we have to have something that we sit down and talk about. And one thing that he said was like, that one is done so that to show the country that we are all in this, that nobody is irrelevant. We are all relevant, you know.
Yes.
So for the political class, it's a relevant thing. So it's not something that is very new. But for you as a citizen, you might see that that is not something that is not very important.
Right.
So I'm just thinking along his argument, but it's kind of like a very sad state of the nation when we could not agree, or the ideology of Kenyans are not usually listened to.
Right. Because from what I see now, from listening to the speech, it seems like this thing will go to the parliament, because if and maybe later you'll get a chance to listen to it later. It seems like they'll take it through the parliament, because he mentioned that for this thing to be actualized, it has to go to the parliament, and it shall be brought to the people, so that no one can have a cheeky move, to go to court. Basically, he's saying by taking it to bringing it to a referendum to the people to vote it on, it will deter anyone who has any idea of taking this case to court. So, and that when he said that, it kind of hit me, and I thought maybe he's it is as if he agreed with this report, and he wants to move forward with it, even though he also highlighted the issues that he disagreed with the Kenya Kwanza side. So in my view, I think it was a clever way of him saying, I did not agree with all the things that were there, but this thing is going through. But again, as I said in my video, I think it will still go to court, because it is not a people-initiated proposal. This is an agreement between two-party coalition, which does not really represent the whole country. I mean, again, I don't know if you can comment to that about that, because again, you haven't listened to the speech, but I would have loved you to what do you think? Do you think this thing, if it goes to a referendum, will it pass?
I think if it goes to referendum, I think there will be Kenyans of goodwill who will try to oppose it, and we will. The Kenyans will oppose it not because we don't like any political party or we are not affiliated to political party, but Kenyans will oppose it based on how will it solve the cost of living for the Kenyans people. Because like if I was the one who was sitting over there, I would look at how can we create jobs, not how can we bring about the infidelity in the parties. Because when you are vying for a particular party, there's a constitution in that party which means you agrees with ideology and the vision of that particular party. And as a good leader, if you feel like now you don't share aspiration of that particular party, the best thing to you to do as a good leader, resign and go and seek the mandate. Such like things, we should not put them into law. If at all we are a country that people are very sincere with the kind of leadership that they want to offer, if I know I'm a member of a particular party and now I feel like this party is not sharing my aspiration, then I should resign and seek the mandate rather than going to the tribunal to waste time,
Well, yeah, and I think Raila also mentioned that he said there's a party organs that deals with that, and I think the law, is it Political Parties Act or something like that, that deals with it. That's why initially I say that I don't know why they wanted to fix that or include that as the agenda in the talks, because these are things that can be addressed within the party organs, and also the law actually addresses that.
Yeah, because to me, because I'm not a legislator, I don't have any legal background. But from the way I think as a common Kenyan citizen, everything that was written or anything that was put on the table on the dialogue, none of those items were worth being put on the dialogue and waste Kenyans' money. That's how I think. Right. Because if we have a very good legislative arm of government, all those can be put on be discussed on the legislative. Yes. For example, an issue they're talking of how to put the CDF and the word on constitution. How? Yet these members, their main role is to legislate and to oversight.
Right.
So how can a legislator again going to be in the CDF? Yet even currently we know how the CDF works. Yeah. And even you're still putting is this. Remember, this thing was the court had already made a pronouncement on it that it was unconstitutional. Right. Yet we still bring it. So it is I think like we are making step as a country. At the same time, if we are in a crisis, we go back. Right. We are not marching forward. Right. Yeah? And even if you look at in the cost of living, where they're saying that they are requiring the cost of living, the percentage to come from 16 to 8%. Remember, I'm just giving the viewers history. Remember when the Right Honorable Prime Minister and Uhuru Kenyatta, they came together, it was passed in parliament whereby the Tanga wing of Jubilee protested about that. Yeah. Now, now we are coming back and say, okay, let's go back. So I think like as a country or as a nation, sometimes we make laws or come up with ideas that we are not very focused on something that is going to come 10 years to come, but we are looking at something that can benefit us within a period of short time. If it can benefit the political class, then it's okay. But if it affects the wananchi, I feel it's not okay. So that's my own argument. I might be wrong in my own argument, but that's what I think.
And I'm not an economist, but can you help me understand how government, if they bring down their spending by 50%, they're traveling whatever, the money that they're traveling. If all the CSS and the president bring down the cost of traveling, do you think that will benefit the economy if they save that money instead of using that? Does that really have an impact on the common mwananchi who goes to work every day, buys fuel, and is having difficulty buying food and commodities?
I think that one might help in terms of when now the government is setting up their projects. Maybe the money that is so much used in the traveling and what can be diverted somewhere, maybe to help in running a project. And remember, this is not just coming all this alone. You are talking of reducing that one by that kind of percentage, but you're still creating an office. That office is not going to be occupied by one person. That office will have cars to be fueled. That office will have professional in there. That office will have people who are employed. So how does cutting cost on this other side and the same time creating an office, how is it going to create an impact to the common mwananchi? So I think the best way that it could be done, the best way to me, they should just go to parliament is either they talk to the president and his government for some good reason to bring in subsidies on
Right.
on fuel, because that is the driving factor, you know.
Yes.
Because like even if you talk of a cost of living, there are so many things that bringing down the fuel cannot reduce on cost of living. There are so many indicators when it comes to cost of living, because one, take for example where you live, you know. Like for example, somebody lives in Milimani and somebody lives in Kibera, you know. If somebody who lives in Kibera comes and kind of like rent a house in Milimani, to him that's the cost of living. He cannot afford the rent over there, even the food. So there's some determinants that even government cannot control, the indicators. But one of the indicators that the government can control is about the fuel. Once you deal with the fuel, the majority of things, their prices will be okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Now, I want to get your view on this. Jimmy Wanjigi stood up and say we might have a revolution because he was speaking in Mombasa somewhere with the mayor of Mombasa.
I saw it.
Oh, you saw it? Okay, that's good. Yeah. Because it seems like IMF is running the country and Ruto has no control. And what I see happening is this. Once the opposition are co-opted through this position of the office of the opposition and all these wonderful goodies that they came up in Boma's talks, once they're co-opted and they're now one, you know, the blame will not fall squarely on Ruto. Okay, the opposition will be quiet because at least now the opposition, the Azimio folks, can point and say Ruto is doing this isn't wrong. Now, if they are co-opted and now they are part of the government, they have this position. Let's assume that this thing goes to, we change the constitution. There'll be no one to blame, just like in the second term of Uhuru Kenyatta. So maybe that will force the people to actually rise up against this political class. Do you see it the same way, or do you see we'll just tutavumilia kwa miaka tano, then mwaka nenio ikifika we'll see what happens there?
You know, it can happen if the people themselves decide, you know. If the people themselves feel like, okay, now I've reached this elastic point whereby now I have to come out and for myself, rather than waiting for somebody to call you to even to go and to bring that revolution. It's the people themselves, they decide, you know, if they decide. And what we are talking about IMF, and I've always said this on various platforms, this is what we call the corrupt democracy. The corrupt democracy is whereby you, as the people of that particular country, you do not have anything to say, but your democracy or anything you do is being micromanaged from somewhere. Yet you know that we are talking about democratic nation. You know, in Africa, Africa generally, there's no an African state that I would say that has what we call a democracy. The most of democracy that African state has are are what we call corrupt democracy, because this democracy are controlled. You know, take for example, we are doing election, and if you are having an election, we bring in the European nations, and from the country point of view, even the country, our countrymen see very well that this our election was not conducted as it should be. But you'll find the European observer will say this was the free and fair election. So how do you quantify who should have a final say on the election of our country or on the running of our country? So that one is telling you that even as we speak today, our democracy is not a free and fair democracy, it's a corrupt democracy. As we speak today, sometimes the decision we make must be have like a second thought and say, okay, this is not right. And I can give you a typical example in South Africa. If I want to tell you, there was, I think, like even Malema said it. When a judge of color made a pronouncement on a case, you know, is that pronouncement or that judgment is being doubted, rather than if somebody of not color, you know, South Africa with apartheid thing.
Right.
So you find like the Africans themselves, sometimes they are not trusted. And
right.
that one even is seen when the president himself made a very good speech in the summit last weekend. Everybody clapped about the Africa. But when voting came, what happened?
Right.
Yeah, the European nation did not vote. They voted against it.
Right. Right.
So, but when the president, His Excellency Ruto was speaking, people clapped for it, and we thought like he's making sense for Africans. But come to voting, all the European nations voted against it. So it is not yet there. That's what I think. So IMF will continue the way they say it will continue to run. Okiya Omutata has talked about it, and we are not in a good space now.
And the housing levy have been stopped apparently because they won that case, Okiya Omutata. So this whole housing levy will stop, hopefully, or will they still?
No, you know, I told you earlier that I do not have a legal mind. But like, if something is unconstitutional, I don't know why you should give it like some period of time. Like you should start working for this, because a pronouncement has been made. This is unconstitutional. Why then should it not take effect immediately?
Right.
By waiting for that, I think like by giving it that space, it gives the government opportunity to find a way of how to correct the measures so they can in line what they want to make with the constitution.
Right.
Because like, why should it go up to around 10th of January and the pronouncement has already been made in court is unconstitutional?
Right.
Even as they still continue to collect the levy, it is not constitutional. It's not within the law. Yeah, I am. That's on a layman language on how I understand the law. So which means the government could have stopped collecting the levy by the end of this month, and actually somebody could have gone to court so that so they can go to court. So like they should start getting their refund.
No, I see. Yeah. I see you're correct. Okay. Last but not least, I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think Ruto will survive the 5 years? Because he's becoming. I was watching even his own people are booing Murkomen, and Raila is busy rallying his troops in Nyanza. To me, in my opinion, maybe he's rallying these troops, trying to register the youths because he knows the referendum is coming. Do you honestly think Ruto will make it past, will make it to 2027 before something happens? Or because I don't know.
You know, politics is very dynamic. You never know what happens. And when you look at the Kenyan politics is about interest. It's not about the policies and the principality. Yeah. So it's a buyout, you know.
Right.
And all. Remember, I can give you a typical example. Remember when the Prime Minister Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta came together, for the longest times there were MPs who were very quiet. Yeah, they did not take side. Yeah, but towards the tail end, they all went to UDA and say how president was bad. So that is the kind of politics that plays in Kenya. So right now, even though the president might not doing well in terms of economy and even fulfilling the promises that he made, there are those members of parliament who are still going to align by him, but they will wait until towards the tail end when they feel like now he's not making it. That's when they will jump onto the other side. And it will be a cycle of the same leaders each and every time. You will not get new people in parliament. So to me, I don't think like he might wither until the 5 years, but maybe next year it will depend with the kind of legislatures that he has and how the Kenyan people understand the politics and what they want, not what they are being told, by electing leaders that represent their aspiration, not the leaders that represent the aspirations of their masters. That one also will play a part.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. I, in my personal opinion, I think he will need Raila Odinga in his pocket somewhere in his cabinet for him to survive to 2027, because the country is growing increasingly unsettled with his economic policies, and Raila has a following. So that's why you saw he was the first one who agreed with this NADCO report. So I think for him to survive to 2027, he will need this referendum. He needs it. But the risk of Raila joining this government, if Raila does join Ruto in this government, it will be over for Azimio, because the Azimio followers will, in my opinion, and I'm not one and I'm not Kenya Kwanza, but I feel like they will feel betrayed by him accepting this position. What do you think?
I don't think like they might feel betrayed, especially, and I usually like giving reference to the past. The past will always make us history and know we know our past and might predict where we are going. Just remember when in 2013 when President Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president, was in power.
Yes.
And we have the code and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that hatred? And I can remember some legislators even like called the president some names, and like it was so much hatred towards the president. Yeah.
Yes.
But when they shook hands, what happened?
Yes.
Yeah. What happened?
Everything. Kila mtu akakuwa marafiki.
And like that's when I started to see people praising the former president Uhuru Kenyatta as a right guy. You know.
But what about because I know the political people, they can realign Watasalimiana and all that, but what about the strong followers of this because even when Raila met the president in 2017, I think he lost some of his supporters. I'm talking about what were ground. I'm not talking about the MPs and whatever. So you don't think so?
But he lost them. But what happened? The people whom he lost did not vote, because people say like, if this is how the politics is being played, now I'm not going to vote. So which means they can still win, because the majority of people are going to stay home, not to vote based on how the politics is being played. So that is still advantage to the political leaders.
Right. But I'm saying it will be disadvantage. So when he gets to 2027, these same supporters will be, you know what? Why should we go through and vote? Because after all, whatever the case is.
So the fanatical base will go with him,
Right.
But there are those who are going to stay home. But immediately you stay home, so which means if, let's say, like you had 10 people, out of 10 people, 2 felt like, okay, you're not doing this is our aspiration. So the 2 are not going to vote, but you're going with 8. So which means the 8 are still winning still.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. Well, Brother Benson, thank you. I usually keep it 30 minutes, so thank you for joining me for this show. And you are free to invite me anytime in your show. I'll be very calm. I'm always not calm. Kenya Revolution.
Thank you so much, brother.
No problem. Take care. That's Brother Benson right there, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to subscribe to the channel, go subscribe on YouTube. His name is Brother Benson. He usually interviews people and young leaders and political figures in Nyanza, Nairobi, whichever the case. Very good channel, very informative, wonderful discussions there. So if you haven't subscribed, please go to his channel. And again, subscribe to your boy. This is Kenya Revolutionary. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Follow me on Twitter or X, as we call it right now. It's Kenya Revolutionary. I wanted to keep it to 30 minutes. It's more than 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Again, I will come back probably tomorrow, okay? For some more, we'll chop it up, talk more about this NADCO, the implications. Is this thing going to pass through the parliament, okay? And are Kenyan people going to be so outraged by this to a point where we shall have a revolution? Because IMF seems to have a gorilla grip on Kenya's economy. We can't do anything. We are taking orders from IMF, okay, and World Bank, okay, the new neoliberal colonization where they rule through IMF and World Bank, okay? They tell you what to spend. They ask you to devalue your currency in order for us to depend on the US dollar, which is being dumped all over across the nation, across the world, because other nations say that the dollar is not reliable. So they're looking for other currency. As you know, BRICS is coming with their own currency, and they are going to dump the US dollar. They want to go back to the they want to go back to the gold standard. So we have a president who's a puppet, colonial puppet, and it's unfortunate to say that, but we see everything is on sale in Kenya. Our seeds, our power, our oil, everything is on sale. If you want to buy, just go there, sign up with IMF. They will tell you what company you want to buy. We actually have a law called the privatization bill, where some aspect of the government function shall be given to private corporations, foreign and local, to run it in the name of efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this is what we'll discuss tomorrow when I come back, and we'll have this discussion. If you haven't subscribed again, please subscribe. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. Find me on YouTube. I'm the Contrarian. I'm the Prophetex Maximus. I'm everything. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.